Walk us through your favorite way to spend a lazy Sunday afternoon.
Well, it's funny how this
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to 5 with T5, rooting local business owners, community champions, and all around amazing individuals on the show to learn about them, their story, or business in a quick and effective way. We've got a community champion and an all-around amazing individual on the show today, Mr. Ryan Gilroy with Adirondack Bank. You know how it works by now. We're going to start the clock with 5 rapid-fire questions for our guest, and then we will get into learning a little bit more about Ryan. How are we doing today, sir?
doing fantastic, man. Doing great.
Appreciate you being here. Question number 1. Walk us through your favorite way to spend a lazy Sunday afternoon.
Well, it's funny how this favorite way to spend a lazy afternoon has changed over the years. Um, Long gone are the days of waking up at noon and doing whatever I want, maybe going to get a greasy spoon for breakfast. Now the best thing I can do is start attacking the chores first thing in the morning. I use my Sundays to catch up on all the cleaning of the bathrooms, the vacuuming, changing the sheets, washing the linens, the whole thing. And then hopefully we get the afternoon free where we can spend some quality time with the kids.
I guess they have changed. Lazy Sunday afternoon, you're putting yourself right to work.
Not as easy as it used to be.
All right. Speaking of the kids, your beautiful 2 daughters. If your daughters could pick your wardrobe for a week, what do you think you'd end up wearing?
I would probably end up wearing the most colorful and gaudy things that they could possibly find. Now, the funny thing is for me, if we were to go to a Goodwill trip right now and you're looking in the size section that would fit this frame, you're going to find some wild stuff. And I think that they would absolutely be thrilled to do a day of that and then force me to have to wear it all the time because they know me, blue button down is kind of my default uniform. So any opportunities to switch it up, I'm sure they would jump at it.
That sounds exciting. We might have to make that happen and report back on that. All right. Question number 3. One piece of advice in general that you wish more people would take seriously, just in general. When you look out in the community work you do, the networking, whatever it might be, the first thing that comes to mind of I wish more people would take this type of advice seriously.
The best advice I think I ever got in a professional capacity is that a career, a job is what you do, it's not who you are. And I think sometimes people derive too much of their identity from their employer or their company or what it is they do for work. And if you work too much and you focus too much on driving forward and you forget all the other aspects of life, you turn around one day and you wonder, hey, what am I working so hard for? If at the end of this career you bury yourself 18-hour days and you don't have people around you, you haven't invested in relationships, and you don't have anything to enjoy on the back end of that, no hobbies, things like that, then what's the point? We're only here for a short time, and you got to remember to enjoy the journey sometimes.
We're diving into that once we're done. I love that, and I wrote down a quote that you just said, and we're going to trademark that puppy. All right, question number 4. One value or principle that you strive to teach your children through your own actions.
Dependability, I think, is one that I try to instill into them. Being there present every day, showing up, being at the practices, being at the dance recitals, not getting too wrapped up in what I have going on, not bringing work home, and investing right now as much as I can in them. At 9 and 8 years old, being girls, now's the time, because in the not too distant future, they're going to have priorities that I'm going to pale in comparison to. They're going to be deep into friends and relationships, sure, and athletics and things like that. So I'm trying to make sure that I dedicate as much of myself to them now as I possibly can.
I love that. This last one's a little fun, but I think you're going to have a good answer for it. I'm excited for it. So you have to replace a handshake with a new greeting. What would this be?
Handshake with a new greeting. So I think high fives are probably tangential handshakes. So, we're not going to go with the low-hanging fruit there.
I love that you didn't take the easy answer. That's perfect.
I think I might go chest bumps.
I knew. I had a feeling you were going to say that.
And the best part is, you want to come and get a running start at me and do the best damage you possibly can, I'm here for it. So
I love
have
it.
at it. Get out all of your frustration just right here.
All right, Ryan, you survived the first 5 questions. I want to dive back into a few more things. For those who might be meeting you here for the first time, tell us about Ryan Gilroy, your story, what brought you to where you are today. We can talk about the bank a little bit later when we look to wrap up, but I want to dive into you, your story, and what got you to where you are today.
Yeah. Originally from South Utica, grew up just on the border of New Hartford there. Made my way through the public school system up until 8th grade. After finishing up at Donovan Middle School, I ended up transferring into Notre Dame. Fortunately, my parents thought there'd be a little bit more value and some more intense supervision than would be afforded to me at Proctor. Not that there's anything wrong with either institution, just that was what ended up being the best thing for me. So after being there for 4 years and having a blast and playing as many sports as I can and getting into the ROTC program, decided to go to the University of Rochester for my undergrad. Fortunately for me, that's an amazing institution. I don't know if on my standalone basis I would have had the grades or the extracurriculars to get in, but leveraged the athletic process, and there was a lot of people who came through during the fall of I think it was fall 2000 when the majority of the decision making had to be done. And the guy who came to recruit me was ended up being my offensive line coach. And this guy was an amazing human being. Roll into the coach's office, and this mountain of a man at like 6'3", probably 450, and giggled like, the happiest guy I've ever seen. Was like, hey, you seem like a great guy. Like, this is a good school. Let's do this thing. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I got to go here. Like, this, it's a great education. I had no delusions over, going anywhere beyond, the college experience. So I figured, hey, if I can use this as a wedge to get into a good school and, have some fun while doing it, so be it. And that ended up being an excellent decision as well. Went there, played all 4 years, made friends for life. Me and my good buddies from there, we've all been in each other's weddings at this point. We're godparents to each other's children. And, I really enjoyed my experience out in that part of the state. Getting out of the Mohawk Valley was a very eye-opening experience. Having, a larger metropolitan area and more activities, more to draw from, and then also a high, college population. Not only is there the U of R, there's RIT, St. John Fisher, Nazareth, Monroe Community, and it's a place where a lot of people from towns like this end up settling. In the early 2000s, after I got done in '05 and graduated, I took a look at what the career prospects would be here back in the Utica area. And not being an attorney or a doctor, there wasn't a lot of opportunity. So I decided, hey, let's just try to make a go of this, keep it going. I'll stay out there, get a few years under my belt, maybe get some experience. And, once I've, proven myself a little bit, then, we'll look to come back to the Mohawk Valley. And, you go headlong into the '07-'08 subprime mortgage crisis and everything that goes along with that. And then, life happens. I was working at a company where I ended up meeting my wife, Alicia, and, we ended up building a foundation there, bought a house, had a couple of kids, things were going awesome. And, coincidentally, as you get into the mode of building your family, a lot less and less opportunity to, hang out with that social circle that, was the initial pull in the first place. And the COVID pandemic really gave us a shift in perspective. Being stuck in the house all day with at the time, 3 and 4 year old, they were bouncing off the walls, and we would have given anything to have family resources nearby. And, our neighbors at the time were all putting their houses on the market and doing very well on the sale proceeds. And we figured, hey, if we're not going to do it now, we're never going to do it. So let's at least kick the tires, see what's out there. We'll test the job market a little bit. And fortunately, it ended up working out amazingly. And, now the best part about it is, being back here closer to family. Instead of being the strangers that show up either quarterly or semi-annually, now my kids have relationships with their grandparents, their aunts and uncles, their cousins, and it goes a little bit back to that well-rounded aspect of life that I talked about earlier in the first question set of, this is the stuff that matters. We can work hard, we can build our life, we could have kept moving forward out there, and it would have been totally fine, probably would have been great as well, but there was something missing, and it was that relationship aspect. And so that brought us back to the Mohawk Valley. It was August of 2021 where we moved back officially, and shortly thereafter is I bought a house out in Whitesboro, and Will Bradley was the one who was my agent. I called him out of the blue one day, And I'm like, hey man, I'm trying to buy a house. What do you think? And he goes, sure. And then after the transaction complete, he goes, hey, it'd be cool. You should come to BNI. You should meet some of these people here. It's a good group of like-minded business individuals, and that way, you can get plugged back into the community. I didn't want to have to, completely ride the coattails of, family members who had already been established here. I wanted to establish myself. Came with a 20-year resume of, working jobs not only in banking and finance, but in other areas as well. So, I wanted people to get to know me, for what I had done, not necessarily, all the noise that comes along with the last name. So, it's been a great ride. We just, passed the 3-year mark of being back, and it's exciting, to be here at a time when the area is really going through a renaissance, and you're seeing unprecedented investment, into the infrastructure, things like housing and, all the different apartment and loft spaces that have been renovated from the old industrial downtown. So they're really starting to do what urban renewal, I think, was originally intended to do. It just, you needed the open market to be able to throw their hat in instead of trying to do it from a government lens. But, thus far, it's been amazing to see, and an exciting time to be here.
The U of R story was fantastic, but we really know as a Fisher guy over here that the garbage plate in Wegmans was the real draw to go out to college. I mean, let's just call it what it is, right?
The first garbage plate I had, it was fall. It was right after we got done with football camp, and all the upperclassmen were like, hey, you out of town guys, we're going somewhere. And they drove me down to the Main Street location, which is the original and not the best neighborhood ever. And I go, oh my God, where are these guys taking us? We're
Is
about
it
to
Fairport
get like
Hots?
a jump initiation or something like that. I didn't have the luxury of going to a Fairport Hots. We weren't that bougie. We went right downtown. And they're like, here. Then they put it in front of me, and it's just a mess of, mac salad, home fries, 2 cheeseburgers. You got your onions, your mustard, and then your meat hot sauce. I know very well because that was the beginning of a special relationship between myself and the garbage plate, and a bit of a connoisseur, if you can imagine that. And now that we're here, it's funny, you can buy the jarred hot sauce, and we make our own garbage plates every year on my birthday, which coming up here in a few weeks. So
that's awesome.
Looking forward to that. Pretty excited.
That's awesome. I want to go back and dive into something you said in the beginning, Ryan, and you said, "What you do, not who you are." And you were focusing on the importance of that. Dive into that more of what that means for you.
Yeah, and it's always been a mantra that's been drilled into my head, and it really started in an eye-opening experience. The day I got dropped off for school, I'm sitting there with my father, and we're done moving me in, and I'm like, all right, this is going to be great. I'm going to do just enough work to, hey, let's do some accounting stuff, and that way maybe go into the family business, eyeing up some succession, and I had a life envisioned of what that was going to look like. And he said something that was very poignant at the time. He goes, this is a very exciting time for you. You have the opportunity to determine what the rest of your life's going to look like. You're going to build relationships, and you just keep perspective of what it is you're here to do. You're not just here to go to college and party and do all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's sound advice, kind of expecting that. He goes, then what is important, he goes, you can do anything professionally you want to do. He goes, I would challenge you to try to do something outside of accounting. I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting advice from an accountant who is the son of an accountant. And basically I have like 6 cousins who all do it. It's like the family trade. Yeah. And I go, oh, okay, what exactly does that mean? Like, why don't you want me to go in the family business? And he goes, as a certified public accountant, he goes, mid-December through April 15th, I'm working 18-hour days. I became a ghost for a quarter of your life. Now that I'm reflecting, I think that you can do better and you can be more present in your family's life. And he goes, there's plenty of different career paths that'll allow you to do that. He goes, pick one of those. And he goes, you'll be much happier investing in your family and your relationships and not working yourself to death. And now here we go. My whole world's off kilter. He goes, all right, good luck. Have fun at school. I'm like, Jesus, like, you're going to leave out a note like that? Like, damn, like, it was just the most profound thing. And, I remember it vividly. And I don't even know if, you'd recall that conversation. But, it was advice I've always tried to keep in the back of my head as I approached, any job that I've been doing. Because there are days that, I like to say some days you're the bug, some days you're the windshield, right? And on the days where you're the bug, you can say, oh my God, the sky is falling, things are going wrong, people are upset, and it's the end of the world. Well, it's not really the end of the world. Doing what I do in banking, nobody's died because, their transfer wasn't made on time, or things can be fixed. And you got to remember not to lose yourself in those days, and you can't let it impact the rest of your life. And there's always been a balance for me of work is work. I'm here. I'm going to give it 100% while I'm here between the whistles. But once that's done, I want to make sure that I'm focusing on what's important outside of that, because ultimately, as you progress through life and you work and you retire, and someday, we're all going to have to check out off the mortal coil. Who's going to be there? It's going to not be your coworkers. It's going to be your family. So you got to make sure that not only are you setting them up for success, but that you can be surrounded by your loved ones and have them have that perception of you, throughout the course of this life.
I love that. I love that. That you drew that out just perfectly. I want to pivot a little bit to your experience of growing up here, going out to college, staying out there for a little bit, and then coming back to our area in a time where so much is going on. Talk to us about, you and I off air have had plenty conversations about this, about, all the exciting stuff that's going on. But like you said, met your wife, started a family out there, all this, and the family's what drew you back. But then at the same time, the area is going through all of this up and coming, all this revitalization that's so exciting. Talk to us about that journey of being kind of removed from that and then coming and dropping back into that.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember when GE pulled up tent and moved out of town, and when the Air Force Base closed, and it really was a very low optimism time for the Mohawk Valley, and that extended on for the better part of 30 years. And you think of some of our older colleagues remember the days of the 60s and 70s when it was like the heyday of Utica, and that only I think compounds a little bit of the negativity that people had a perception of based on some of the economic hardship. So it was interesting having that perspective, and when I left, it was never I'm trying to escape the area. It was, hey, here's an opportunity, I'm going to check this out, but I want to come back eventually. Ultimately, as great as the pull to be closer to family is, you can't make that move unless you have an opportunity to support said family. So,
Sure.
having it be a confluence of, an opportunity and then seeing a little bit of a need, it all worked out very well. And, being kind of plugged in a little bit, through my father and all the economic development activity and committees that he's on, you keep hearing the stories of, oh, this person's investing in this and this person's investing here, and they're going to be building this, and here comes the Nexus Center, and all that's done to help that North Genesee Street corridor, and then we're at the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what the harbor redevelopment is going to look like, and that's exciting. So we're bringing people into the area. We're now giving them activities and services, and all of that requires financial services. So, when you look at, hey, I'm from here, I know the area, the people, I can bring, my experience that I gained outside of the area, maybe, a little bit more, contemporary methodologies, or, a little bit more technology native than some of, the experience here. And I can apply all that with my passion for the area and, be a valued asset to all these people as they're trying to better the area. So, ultimately, it's the rising tide's going to raise all the boats, and what little part I can play is I'm happy to do. So it's been pretty exciting so far.
That's fantastic. It's been such a cool journey. I remember meeting you at the Sataquata when you just moved back. Will's like, hey, Will and I were gonna golf, and he's like, hey, I got this client of mine that I'm working with that's relocating here. I remember vividly the first time meeting, and then through the BNI experience. And I think that's what's so cool about this area too, is like how everybody is connected in their own way, right? It is such a small town. And you can make those connections, foster those relationships through the different organizations we referenced, and just trying to do good. Ryan, we're going to wrap this up because we were short form, and there was a couple other things we want to dive into, but then we'd be here for a few hours, so we probably shouldn't do that.
Talk all day. I mean, we've done it before, right?
we certainly have. I would just thank you very much for your friendship and your support, and myself and the business, and I really appreciate you taking the time to be here today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Where can everybody learn a little bit more about Adirondack Bank? I know we didn't touch too much on that, but just what you guys are doing down there, or if they want to get in touch with you. Why don't you take a minute just to talk about your lane and how you can help people before we wrap up?
Yeah, no. So my position here at the bank is I'm a commercial loan officer. So I work with business and commercial entities on a whole suite of service and function as a conduit between them and the bank. So, if you have maybe some unhappiness or discontent with your current relationship, you're not getting the level of attention that you like, or you need somebody who is going to be part of a community organization where all of our leadership and command structure, we're all lifelong Uticans, and our ties run deep. So, there's times where you look at some of the bigger competitors that we face, and if a transaction doesn't fit perfectly into the box, it's just a quick no and sorry, we can't help you. Whereas, you work with a community institution, having those relationships and that knowledge institutionally of all the players, we'll see beyond what might be on the surface and dig real deep into, hey, listen, this is a great person with an awesome idea, and maybe they need a little bit of help, and we can provide resources and all the different public money that's out there, or counseling services, or we can just offer suggestions. If you're looking for a higher touch experience and local connections and the ability to get things done that might not necessarily get done otherwise, Adirondack's a great place, and that's ultimately why I chose to bring my talents here. Is I saw the vision, I saw the investments that are being made, I saw the people that were being brought in, and to a man, these are people I go to war with every day, so to speak, of course. But it's a good culture, and I love being here. So my hope is to be able to show other people, hey, this is a great place to bring your business, but also too, if it's not a great fit, we can't be all things to all people. So that's okay too. We want to make sure that the people in this community who are driving growth and are making investment and creating jobs have that opportunity to do so. And it might not work with us, but we're also very friendly with our local competitors as well. So if we can't find a way to get something done for you, we're happy to hand things off, to another institution that might specialize in what you need. So,
Sure.
It's a well-rounded experience. It's not adversarial. It's not, overly salesy. It's just, hey, we always say we work best if you don't know we're there. So, that's kind of, how we do our approach to, relationship management. But, some people require a higher touch, and, if that's the case, then we're there too. So, that's kind of my spiel on Adirondack Bank. You want to take a look into who we are and what we got going on. We've revamped our website over the last couple of years, adirondackbank.com, and you can find basically an initial foray into anything that you're looking for. If you don't want to make that outreach right away, but if you do, we're all here to help.
Love it. Local. You can get Ryan on the phone. You can email Ryan. You can meet Ryan in real life. You can talk to the leaders, local leaders. I love it. And be sure to check them out. Ryan, thanks again for joining us today. Everybody, this is another episode of 5 with T5. Thanks for enjoying this engaging conversation. Be sure to check us out on YouTube and Facebook at T5 Insurance. That's where we drop these episodes weekly. Until next time, remember the power of connection and learning from one another is what makes our community thrive. But most importantly, remember make an impact in someone's life today, even if that's your own. Stephen Turnbull here with T5 Insurance. We'll see you next week. Take care.